Hey, DGB sisters, welcome to Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond. And we have a wonderful show for you coming up today. I have Helen with me. Hi, Helen. Hello there.
Hello.
Helen's in lovely Florida today. She's visiting with her son. So she's talking to us remotely, and we're so happy to have her here. And if
Thank you.
you're new to Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond and you're not sure exactly who we are or what we do, my name is Dona Rutowicz, and I am an expert rapid transformational relationship coach. I also am a licensed clinical psychotherapist. And what we do at Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond is we take what has been given to us, right? That the divorce, the separation, the breakup, and we transmute it, right, from a stumbling block into a stepping stone. We take and we learn how to do the number one most important thing, and that's heal ourselves, heal our heart. So we could set the trajectory for our life, for our children's life, for our grandchildren's life in a completely new trajectory for the future. And so, with that said, Helen, love to see you here. So Helen is currently going through Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond. And I'm so excited you're here because I can't wait to get into our conversation, because when you started to where you are now, so much different, and you're just beginning, right? And this is so lovely is because we're just unfolding this path. So I'll leave it to you to introduce yourself, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Helen. I'm originally in Ohio, and just as she said, I'm visiting my son in Florida. And I have actually been divorced for 6 years. Took 3 years to get through one, and I was
Mm-hmm.
married for 28 years. And I didn't know until actually I went into therapy that I was married to a narcissist. He was
Yeah.
such incrementally narcissistic that I didn't even know what that really was. So I've overcome that, and now I am trying to figure out how to unwire some of the damage that was done from so many years of believing
Yep.
that I wasn't enough or that I wasn't ever able to do anything that was the way it should be. And
Mm-hmm.
so I always put everyone first. I always have been taught that. So there's a time and place to put others first, but we have to take care of ourselves first. So it's been a journey for sure. And I thought I was good, but then realized recently that it wasn't good, that I'm still falling into the trap of being a people pleaser and more concerned about others' thoughts and wishes than my own. And so I'm still working on that. Thank you,
Yep.
Donna. I'm still working on that. Triggers still are occurring, but wow, this program is so awesome because if it's exactly what you say, you get out of it what you put into it. And so
Yep.
the last 2 weeks, I've dived in. I'm only starting module 3.
Yep.
I'm in week 3. And I probably rewatched videos 5 or 6 times, taking notes
Yep.
and pausing
Yes.
so
Just
that,
pause, take your notes, come back. Yes.
and
Yes.
then I go back. It's like trying to look at things from a different perspective. Because that's the biggest thing for me is that I tend to fall back into old traps, right? When I start thinking about, like, well, does that even make sense to me?
Yep.
And it's like, no, that shouldn't make sense. Why does it make sense to me? So again, it's like unwiring that I had been wired into that was not correct. So I'm working
Yep.
through it. I'm
Yep. It's the
reading several
unwiring and
books,
the rewiring. Yep.
right, simultaneously.
Mm-hmm. And you're doing a fabulous job.
Thank you.
So for those of you who have seen and have been following Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond, you see all different women, all different stages, all different scenarios, but we're all experiencing very much the same thing about, unlearning behaviors, patterns, beliefs that no longer serve us, and then also discovering the trauma that we didn't even know was there per se. Right, because it's so
Absolutely.
insidious. And like you said, when you're discovering about narcissism and you're discovering how it impacts the mind, how it impacts your system, how it impacts your body, how it impacts your thoughts, you realize that when you begin to become aware of it, it lifts up a little bit of light. And then underneath that, it's like, oh, now I could see this that I really need to focus on, right? And it's like, great, now I could look at this. And before you know it, we're uncovering so many patterns that we realize they don't serve us. Because number one, I found two things. One is they're not even our patterns or beliefs or behaviors. They were someone else's
Yes.
that were imprinted on us, and we didn't even know we were taking the code, right? It's like we didn't even know they were being there. And then number two, it's over time, like you said, the people pleasing versus the people loving. Because like what I like to say is we could still love people and we could love ourselves, right? In the past, we love people. However, we've abandoned ourselves because we're more concerned with other people's feelings and who will I hurt and how will that impact others? And we think we're doing it in such a beautiful way because again, your intention is 100% valid and fair and loving, but somewhere along the line, we lose ourselves.
Exactly.
And then we wake
Exactly.
up like where you are, where you said, you know what? I'm not quite done yet with the work on me. I think like what I'm noticing is these triggers and these feelings. So tell me what you've learned so far in DGB. Tell me what has been your, what I would say, awakening moment, or this shift in thoughts and beliefs to
I,
date.
I think some of the biggest cues have been that some catchphrases, if you will, like it's fear is not a fact, it's a feeling.
Yep.
And it's okay to feel that feeling and
Yep.
just let it go. That's been a huge one for me. Another one has been, as I'm reading through like Boundaries and some of the other books, Ask
Yep.
and It Is, and I watched The Secret 3 or 4 times now. Actually believing the capabilities of that and how it works when you apply it consistently and believe that it is out there and it will come. And I'm someone of faith, so believing that God will hear my prayers and answer them are something that I should believe, right? Especially in my faith. Not always the way we want them, but they will have an answer of some
Mm-hmm.
sort.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the biggest thing is, as I've been reading through Boundaries, I feel like I'm highlighting the whole book right now.
I know the feeling. It's like highlight.
Yeah. Like things like the reason it's hard to break that pattern is because it's been so wired into you and you don't have um, a community behind you that would support you if you say no to them. And
Right.
so developing relationships with people that are okay for you to say no to them and
Yep.
they'll still be in your court, right? They'll still
Right.
be your
And
friend.
that's what we say at DGB is we get to
Mhm.
choose now, because going back to what you said, no matter, you're a woman of faith, right? And
Mhm.
here at DGB, we have many different, faiths. Everybody believes in something
Mhm.
greater, right? And even if you don't, the work still works, but most of us believe in God, universe, source, or something greater. And we know that, like you said, in the past, there's sort of like, wow, I probably should believe this, or this should be ingrained in my system. And we realize, well, maybe it's not, and it's not right, wrong, bad, or good. I think we do the best we can with what we have. But then there's this discovery within us that says, wait a minute, this is not about me just blindly taking on a belief system that's not mine, or blindly taking on what I should or shouldn't do. It's a discovery, right? And I think the biggest piece of my growth has been this awareness that I am a co-creator, that I
Right.
get to command my prayer. It's not just about please and hope and maybe one day. It's about a 100% expectation and a decision of co-creating. Because for instance, I will never be a composer or, an artist. I enjoy it. I enjoy art, but it's not who I am. So if I say to myself, okay, I'm going to be an artist and I'm going to be a composer, that's not my soul journey, and it likely won't unfold because I'm not soul driven to that. Does that make sense? But when
Yes.
I say, okay, like I'm surrounded by people who are on my bus that are loving and kind and compassionate. And I'm in a relationship where I am loved by someone and I am loving someone, right? And
Mhm.
it's this this relationship, that is a soul journey for me, because God has put in my heart to be married. God has put in my heart to have wonderful relationships with people, to be doing the work that I'm doing. And so when I get into that command of, okay, here's what I'm expecting, here's where I'm commanding, I could be 100% assured it will come to pass. I just don't know how. I just don't know when, but there is 100% certainty that it will come in, right? And that's the power that we get to learn how to use, because I don't know, but somewhere along the line, and tell me if you think this too, somewhere along the line, that memo wasn't sent to us. I don't know why
Correct.
it's not taught at an early age about the command principle, right? But this is where we get our power, where we could, and it's authentic, it's divine, it's not mismatched. It's almost like an activation, where this is what I see in you, Helen, right now, is an activation.
Yes, yes, and it's a different feeling to not
Yeah.
always operate in fear or in lack. That's the hardest part for me, is to
Yep.
have an abundance mindset rather than a scarcity mindset. And I think part of it's age, part of it is, when you read terrible statistics like a woman over the
Yeah.
age of 45 getting married again is as likely as getting killed by a train, some crazy thing like that.
Yep.
Um,
It's true. When
and
you read those statistics, I mean, and none of, and sometimes those statistics are just one person who took words and reformed them to make a statement, because there's this element of shock and awe, because then they'll get your attention, but it
right,
doesn't mean it's actually true.
correct. That is
Right?
correct. Yes.
We get to decide what's true. And another piece of the puzzle, which we haven't been taught, I think, from a young age, is not only this concept of, and I want to go back to what you said, Helen, before I even go into this new discussion point of something, because something's very important that you said,
Mhm.
and that is, it's the abundance mindset versus the lack mindset.
Yes.
That we can't think two thoughts at a time. Our brain cannot function. So every day we have a choice. Are we going to think about what is the struggle, what's the fear, or we're going to think about what's the creation and what's the abundance, right? And like
Right.
you said, we've developed habits and patterns. Doesn't mean those habits and patterns serve us or they're good for us. That's just what we've developed to think a certain way. So when we go to
Correct.
override that, it feels different. And that's where the challenge is, because the work itself isn't necessarily hard. The challenging part is breaking the habits of the past thinking,
Oh, yeah.
right? Because it's
So
so
hard.
deep. Yep. Yep.
And it'll trigger itself,
Yep.
as we talked about this past week in the
Yep.
coaches call it, and you don't even know why it triggered,
Yep.
but you have to acknowledge it and kind of step back and say what triggered it, and that's not true.
And that's the difference for those of you who are listening to Helen right now. And Helen, you could probably attest to this, coming into the program from where you are now to where you started. Before, triggers could throw us off for days, weeks, months, or years. And then we get into our mind, like, what is it? Trying to figure it out, trying to put
Right.
all the pieces together. And again, it's not that it's a terrible thing that we're doing. It just doesn't serve us. Right. And what Helen just
Hmm.
did, what she said, what she exemplified, is what we teach at DGB is we don't have to fear the trigger anymore. We don't have to go into a panic attack on the trigger. We could actually go into curiosity. This is interesting. What is it about this? What is it about that I'm doing? Who am I connecting with? What conversations am I having? What sights, what sounds, what smells? Right?
Right.
Like you said, anything could trigger us. You could go down a supermarket aisle, see a box of cereal, be happy as a clam. You just saw a friend, happy, happy, happy. You go down and you see a box of cereal that reminds you of something that triggers you, and you could be a puddle of tears. That was me sometimes. I'd be going down the grocery aisle and in puddle of tears for absolutely no reason other than there was something that triggered.
Yeah, and I think I've kind of figured out it's like a song
Yep.
or a scent,
Yes.
um, and even just like certain foods. I know that sounds bizarre,
No, it
but that
doesn't.
you associate with.
Everything is physiological, the way our brain
Mhm,
works, right?
mhm.
And this is exactly why in Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond, we have a very specific physiological part of the program, which is our gratitude journal, our 50 reasons why, our miracles and synchronicities, as well as the soundtrack of awesome music, because music will calm the nervous system. It impacts the frontal lobe. So what we're realizing is the triggers, because think about this, just you and I know this, but I'm putting out there for the audience. If we could be triggered in a negative way, can't we be triggered in a positive way?
Yes, and for me, that's puppies.
Yes, I love puppies.
And I mean, the bio picture I sent you for today
Yep.
is just that, right? It's this puppies just come up to me for no apparent reason, dogs and puppies, but the picture is a puppy.
I
And it's
remember that conversation we had. That was our first conversation where you are an animal whisperer in a sense. Like for
yes,
you, animals just come to you. They just,
yes.
yep,
In
yep.
Florida, cranes come to
Hmm.
me, ducks come to me, and then they follow me along the path along the lake.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of feel like a little bit like the Pied Piper. But for some reason, it doesn't work on all animals, but it has worked on a variety of them. And dogs, keenly. Dogs, if dogs are in my vicinity, they will literally drag their owners to get to me sometimes.
And you know what's lovely about that is now, especially when we're in what I would say a response state versus a reactive state. All right, reactive means that we don't have a level of emotional regulation because our emotions are so high. We've been hurt so bad that our brain is in fight or flight, right? And the
Right,
only thing that could happen is when we're in fight or flight, we can only see what could possibly go wrong because your brain thinks it's in mortal danger.
right,
It doesn't know that you have a home, that you have food, you're not in mortal danger. It just thinks it's in mortal danger. So the only thing that it could see is what could go wrong, right? And when
correct,
we're in a state of parasympathetic mode, and this is your universal feedback, Helen, right? Is when you're in that parasympathetic mode, we're open to seeing the wonder of the world. We're no longer in a state of this reaction. We're no longer in a state of being the victim to the circumstance. We
right,
now are in a state to be able to be aware and actually take part in life and see the beautiful things and use the triggers to fuel us, use the triggers to replenish that energy, use the triggers to launch us into our desires. Doesn't it feel so much better? And again, it doesn't mean that life is unicorns and rainbows, but to have certainty, even though we may not be where we want to be yet fully, but to have certainty that, wait a minute, I am in control of my life.
yes,
And even if we take out the words control, because you know my belief system in control, the only thing we can control is our thoughts and our patterns and our feelings, right? But life itself, we can't control. Let's even replace that word with we could influence and command our life.
right.
But
Through our
we're no,
choices and words.
yeah, but we're no longer having to worry. We actually could have fun. And
Right.
where you are right now, right, which is a perfect example. You're with your son. You're
Mhm.
enjoying the time. We were just talking, you're making cakes and the lava cakes and you're celebrating and you're able to be connected with your family. How important is that to you?
Oh, extremely. I've pretty much switched careers when I was pregnant with my son. He's 26. Simply because I didn't want to be in a job where I was working 80 hours a week anymore.
Yep.
And jumped out on a limb. I'm a teacher, and that sounds glamorous to a lot of people, but the pay is very low. And people, oh, you get summers off. No, I teach summer school. So it's really not a situation where it's what everybody thinks it is. But I actually led classes in my previous job, and so it was a situation where everybody's like, you should be a teacher, you're so good at this. And so I literally walked away from about 40% of my pay to become a teacher. And so that's what I did. And I love it. I love working and helping people become what they want to be. And so because of that, it's very fulfilling intrinsically.
Yes.
Um, and for me, that's worth so much more than the paycheck that I used to have and just
Yep.
have nothing left at the end of the day because literally coming home and it's like, oh, I got to be back to work in less than 8 hours. So that was long time ago, right? 26 years ago, we didn't have work from home and virtual
Yep. Yep. It was a very
workplaces.
different landscape.
Yes, yes, yes. So, and I don't regret it for a moment. And I had more flexibility because, as a teacher, you grade, you prep, you have requirements of you as well. But when my kids were little, it was then, okay, well, I'm wide awake at 3 in the morning because you just fed a baby. So now I'll just stay up and grade because I'm wide awake and then hopefully go back to sleep before, for an hour or so before I go to work. So it gave me a lot of leeway to do my job without having to be in the office all the time, right?
And it's quite interesting to me, Helen, about how this journey for you, because you had said something is like you love to help people become all that they're meant to be.
Right.
And sometimes as teachers, and if for those of you who are listening, you could be awesome at your career, you could be a great teacher, you could be an amazing nurse, a doctor, a lawyer, maybe you're self-employed, maybe you're an entrepreneur, whatever it is, you could have the work together. It's just this personal side that you haven't been able to move the needle on. And this is exactly what you're doing, Helen, is you're deciding, and you had decided the day, and this is why we celebrate the day you joined DGB and why it's such an important day, because that's the day that you say, hey, wait a minute, I matter too.
Right.
I matter too. And I want to take what was presented to me as a mess, and I'm going to, right? Not I hope to, but I'm going to transmute it, and I'm going to become the best woman that I know how to be. I'm going to become the best mother, the best grandmother, the best friend, because this work isn't only about the work we're doing now, it's also generational, right? We're impacting our children and our children's children and our children's children. So what is this, if I were to ask you, Helen, your scaffold, right, or your blueprint of where the identity of the woman you're creating, who is that identity? What are the things that she's doing? What are the things that you're experiencing? What are the relationships that you would be having?
So, again, I believe I'm a daughter of the King, who
Yep.
is God in my
Yep.
world. I see myself as a teacher, and not just in a workplace, but
Yep.
with kids and random people sometimes, which that it's not in a off-putting kind of way, like, oh, let me help you with that, right?
Yep.
You don't seeing someone struggle, right? A mother trying to get to a car with
Mm-hmm.
two little kids in tow and pushing a cart and
Mm-hmm.
so oftentimes just doing those kind of things. But I see myself as someone who is going to be at the end of their life, and others will say she gave
Yep.
generously. I write my epitaph New Year's. Everybody makes New Year's resolutions. I don't make New Year's resolutions. I write my epitaph each year, like what I want people to say when I'm gone. And I want them to say she loved with her whole heart
Yep.
and she was generous and kind to everyone. And she never saw a dog she didn't love or a person she wouldn't help. And she always welcomed people into her home to sit and eat a meal with her. So, and I have done that many times. I've had international students invited to my house for holidays and Thanksgiving, and when they don't know what Thanksgiving even is, right? So,
So how do you
like,
think the work itself, right? When we think about this, right? What I
okay,
wrote down on my piece of paper, and it's much more than random acts of kindness. It's
hmm
more as active acts of
purposeful,
love, purposeful mission, right? There's a mission in you. It's purposeful. There's a mission there. But what we know to be true is that if we're struggling in our emotional set point, right? If we're struggling because we're in grief, or our thoughts or patterns are we're not operating at the best version of ourselves, then that means that we can't be the best version that God wants us to be, because we're
correct.
struggling and we're suffering, right? And again, it's not because we're
Right.
doing anything right or wrong, bad or good. It's a fact. When we're emotionally drained or we're triggered or we're suffering, it's very difficult for us to be operating at the best of ourselves. So what I love about your journey and your story of where you're at is that when we clear out the pain, the trauma, and the lack of the past, and we step into the hope and the abundance and the brightness of the future, we're that much more powerful, right? And this is not just about you. It's about the work. It's about your ability to be God's arm in this world, to be
Yes.
his arm, his leg, his mind, his just be a mirror image of that, right?
Right.
And you're able to do that because you decided I need to clear out my junk so I
Mhm.
could show up in the best way.
Right. Absolutely. I don't want to be at the end of my life and have regrets that I never fulfilled my purpose, or
I have
that,
the same thing. Yep.
yeah, that I didn't
Yep.
achieve what I wanted to achieve, because I'm a lifelong learner, probably why I like also teaching, because I like to always learn new things.
Yep.
And so it's interesting. Like, I'm not that person who's afraid to DIY or, learn on a YouTube video how to do something I've never done before. And it's rewarding to me then when I can actually accomplish that and then show somebody else how to do that too.
Yes, and be the
Right.
model, right? Not only show
Right.
them, but model it. So, what would you say to the woman who's listening to this right now, right? Because she's here, we have someone, if not many women, who are listening to your story and finding so much similarities, or wow, that's me, or I totally understand where Helen's coming from, but she's stuck. She's suffering.
That
She
was me.
Yeah, she know, right? That exactly, like that stuff, like just knows that, okay, I know there's something greater for me. I just don't. I've been doing everything, right? Because you have. I've been learning, I've
Hmm.
been growing, I've been doing the things, but I'm not able to move the needle here. What would you say to her? What would be your wisdom or guidance that you could share with her today?
Well, and I would say, first off, to anybody who knows they're with a narcissist, run. You
Mm-hmm.
can't change them, you can't fix them. They'll try and gaslight you and love bomb you and do all of those things to make you
Yep.
stay. And I did for probably 10 years longer than I
Mm-hmm.
should have.
Mm-hmm.
So just run. You'll be so thankful that you didn't, that you did.
Yep.
Um, but I was stuck when I came here. I said, I've been divorced 6 years. I've gone through therapy. I've read books. Like I said, I'm reading Boundaries for the third time. I'm rereading these items and taking a very proactive approach, because this program, what it's made me do is it holds me kind of accountable in
Yeah.
that I'm
Yeah.
supposed to show up every week. And
That's
I,
right.
I have the modules, and it's something where I am doing the work, and it's hard at first because you're confronting your history, you're
That's
confronting
right.
your own demons, you're confronting the voices in your head that tell you
Yep.
negative things that aren't true,
Yep.
but you've been led to believe they are.
Yep.
And so for me, the thing, I've always done a gratitude journal, but doing the 50 amazing things about me has been really hard for me. So I had my friends and family help me, and I'm up to 40.
Yes,
So
girl.
I'm
Fantastic.
up to 40.
That's
But
awesome. That's
right? And
awesome.
it's
Mhm.
just things you don't recognize in yourself. It's kind of nice to see that when others are like, "Oh my gosh, you're such a good listener. You'll do anything for anyone," when they ask you if they sincerely need help. And I'm that friend that they call at 2 in the morning, like,
Mhm.
"Help me," right?
Mhm.
So, and they know I'm there for them. Um, and I'm not saying like, "Oh, I broke a nail." It's like, "Oh my gosh, my mom was just taken to the hospital. We don't know what's going
Yeah,
on."
we're talking about some serious stuff that they know that they
Right.
can call you when we say, because there are people that will say, "Call me anytime, I'm there for you," but they don't
Mhm.
really mean it,
Right.
right? But you're the person who says, "Call me anytime," and you mean it because you stand
Right.
by your word.
Right. I'm very genuine and authentic, which were words they used to describe me. And I started thinking, I'm like, yeah, I am. Yeah, I didn't know I was, but yeah, that's true. I am. So, and I was stuck because I truly feel in my heart that I have to have 50 years of training from
Mhm.
others and how to think of myself replaced
Mhm.
with what's true, rather
Yep.
than how they wanted to mold me and make me be essentially catering to them at all times.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I think I didn't know how to do that part. Like, I could see, oh, this is what you should do, but I didn't know how, and I'm not perfect. I'm learning this,
Well,
how
you're on
to
your
replace
way,
that talk.
right? You're on
Right.
their way, and I think that's the key point. If you are a woman who's stuck and who has really been conditioned. And we're not saying people are bad, right? We're just saying it's part of your generational makeup, or it's part of your history, or it's part of how you're spending everyday life, where people are really depending on you to be there for them, not necessarily celebrating you, right? Because this is,
Right.
again, people, their intention, normally are good intentions, but if they know that they could get you to do something for them, they're gonna do it all day long. They're gonna, and that's where people pleasing comes in, right? Is where we're doing
Right.
things for other people, but we're abandoning ourselves. So if you are that woman that has what, kind of what Helen and I are talking about there's a tendency to put others before yourself. However, you're not yet at the point where you could still be kind to people and you put yourself first. Right now, you're putting others before yourself, and there's a sense of abandonment that you've been in a relationship with either a narcissistic person or someone who expresses narcissistic tendencies,
Right.
is to draw the line in the sand. And like you said, Helen, I am a lifelong learner. I realized that I needed more. I realized I needed help, is to get out there and get that container, right? Whether it's
Right.
Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond, or there's another coaching program, but don't wait another day, because this is not work we could do on our own.
Mm-mm.
And this is we smart, intelligent, beautiful people, right? Like Helen, like the rest of our sisters in DGB. We are smart, we are intelligent, we have beautiful hearts, minds, and souls. But this work, we need another person to ask us the questions. We need the container of our sisters to see the growth and the celebrations. And we could go and ask for questions and support, because again, this particular work is not work we could do on our own. We need to learn. We need to be open, right? And like you said, to be held accountable.
Right.
That's a big piece for me. Huge
Right.
piece is the accountability piece.
And why did you think that? I've had Coach Jackie say that to me, like, why did you think that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. Let me think about it for a
Yep.
minute.
Yep.
Right. So, because I'm sure the women out there have friends. I have friends. I have some fabulous friends. And they would often look at me like, what? And I'd be like, what?
Right.
What do
And
you mean?
because it's an indirect pattern. So like when Jackie says, like, what was it about that? Or why did you think that? Like, what was it about that thought? It stops us and it
Right.
gets us to say, you know what? Why did I think that? I
Exactly.
don't Let me think. Is it my thought? Is it
Yeah.
someone else's thought? Is it a thought that has embedded in my system from generations that I don't even know that I've been carrying? Because that's the value of conversation. The value of conversation is we could ask those hard questions, or ask those questions to pattern interrupt, to give us the answer, to lead us to the solution. Because many
Correct.
times you realize, wow, that thought is not my thought, number one, doesn't serve me at all.
Correct.
Time for
That's the
it to
big one.
go. But
Yes.
we would never have been sort of massaged to think that if we weren't asked that question, right?
Correct. That's correct.
I love it.
And so, I mean, for me, that's what's been huge, because I am literally in my journals and in my notebooks every single day, multiple times. And I think what helped me go from, you said my appearance was different, even though my hair is the same, everything's the same. Well, it's a little frizzier here in Florida, a little more
No, but you are,
poodly.
because
Yeah.
energetically, you are 100% a different person. You are showing
Right.
up differently. Yes.
Exactly.
Yep.
And for me, I think the first thing that got me there was, I've always done a gratitude journal, but I started doing it morning and night. I'm like, I can't say thank you for the same things every single day. I mean, I can, but that's kind of like faking it.
Well,
So I put,
that's like you said, that's just doing the task
right,
versus actually being in gratitude, which are two different things.
right. And
Doing the
so,
gratitude journal versus being the gratitude journal.
and it's gotten longer. Like some days it's
Mhm.
pages now. Like, oh my gosh, thank you for I get to walk my grand puppy here. And I'm a puppy person. So my grand puppy and I
Yeah,
walk every morning for about an hour,
I love
and all the lovely things we see on the walk. And then when I get back, I write about it. Like, oh, thank you for, the butterflies we saw this morning, or the sweet lady that waved and I waved back and said, good morning, just thank you for people's openness and willingness to even say hi because they don't know me, right? And I don't know them, but they're friendly back. And that's nice. You
And
know,
also
people,
think about the energetic shift that we're doing, because in when we're stuck, we're
hmm
thinking about everything that's going wrong. Why is
right,
this happening? What did I do wrong? What is it that I'm not seeing? Is it my fault? Is it their fault? Like we're not able to really see outside, versus when you said, I'm going on this walk and I'm noticing the butterflies, the sights, the sounds, the smells. That energy is going to create, it's almost like it's its own energetic plant, right?
right.
We're creating this energy, versus the other side is taking energy where you feel drained. You feel like,
Mhm.
oh, like I don't even, you don't have the energy for the day sometimes, because it's like you're so depleted, right?
Yes.
Versus where we now are creating our own energy. And I just had a conversation with a sister who's graduating and moving over to alumni, and she's starting her own group in the church, because she's like, I have so much to give now, right? And
Right.
that's where we are, is that we want to be women here at DGB that not only are living the life that has been embedded in our heart, right, by God, divine source, but it's having more than enough for others too,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
being in that space. So if you're listening to this conversation and you are stuck, no, Helen, how long have you been at DGB now? 4 weeks, 5 weeks?
No, 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
I
So
I just started my third week
third, okay, so
yesterday.
you're in week 3. So just so you could get perspective, look at
hmm
where Helen is in week 3. This is why I say typically we could get results in 6 to 10 weeks, but I often don't say that because people will think I'm batshit crazy. They'll be like, there's no way, but there is 100% a way. And it's because, again, you've committed to yourself and you're making movement. We're still defining and deciding what that's going to be for you. But I mean, look at where you are. Think about this. 3 weeks in, how much nuggets of gold we've already gotten,
hmm
how much more we're going to get and expand. So if you are like Helen and you are stuck, you've got to come to Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond. You've got to join us here. And again, if not here, if this is not your coaching platform, because for whatever reason, this message is not aligning with who you are, that's okay. But find a coaching platform that does align with you. Do not allow yourself to remain stuck. Because what I say is the only thing we get by sitting on the fence is splinters. What really projects us to our future, what really projects us to peace, is inspired action. And it's committing, and it's having accountability, and it's showing up with the decisiveness of, this is the life that I want because it's in my heart, and I refuse to allow any other option to take place. I'm not sure how it's going to show up. I'm not sure where it's going to show up, but it's 100% certainty.
And that's the hard part, the how, because
Yeah.
even though I was married 28 years, I was a single parent during almost all of those years because of his work and his travel, and was never home. So I was used to being very independent, in
Yep.
that everything felt like it was all on me to do. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you ask either of my children, they would tell you, yeah, mom's the one that raised us,
Yep.
right? She was always there. She was at everything. She's the one that came to soccer matches and
Yep.
tennis matches and, choir and band. And I mean, they had a very full schedule, and they both can only name like 4 or 5 things that I missed because I made them a priority.
Yep.
And that was important to me. I'm not saying people go quit your jobs. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that was what was most important to
For you.
me.
Yeah.
And that was something I could hold on to during all of that. So, and it was probably my saving grace to some degree too, especially because he was so narcissistic, and why I stayed so long because,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I can put up with that 4 or 5 days a month, right?
Yep.
I can put up with that because then the other 25, my kids are still in place and not going through the turmoil of being shuffled around. But
And
they,
now you're the priority, right?
exactly, because they're adults. My
They're
kids are
because
adults.
they're adults. And this too, and this is where I implore you, if you're listening, because I see this every single day. And I see this in my own life on certain things in the past, right? I know I feel more comfortable with taking inspired action. But I sometimes speak to women who have the desire to change, but the fear comes in And again, weeks turn into months, months turn into years, years turns into decades. And right now, if it is the time, do not wait, right? Because
Right.
we do not know. Now, I hope, like for you and I, the Bible says 120 years. I'm going to say that. Like we live, and not only 120 years, but we live well, healthy,
Right.
right? That we live well that 120 years, but we don't know how long we have. The only power that we have is right now. And the biggest wasters of our energy, of our mind, of our soul, and our spirit is the past or the future, right?
Right.
We want to intend, and of course, we want to create our future and our outcome, but the biggest impact we have is the present. And if we're worried about the past, excuse me, if we're worried about the past or worried about the future, then we're forgetting there's no day, right? And if we put it off and we put it off and we put it off, it's amazing to me that I will speak to women that will invest their entire, very similar to you, their entire life with their children, right? Their hours, their time, the money. And then when it comes time for themselves, they won't do the same, right? There's
Right.
fear in investing in time. There's fear in investing in money. There's fear in investing in all of that, which again is valid because it's a different feeling. But here's the real truth that no one's telling you. You have to invest in yourself. You've got to commit to yourself. You've got to set the time for yourself because no one is coming to be your knight in shining armor. You've
Right.
got to save yourself, right? You've got to put your life back on track because that is actually what is going to attract all of the things that you do want because you become the person, right? And that's going to attract the things versus opposite, trying to get what it is that you want, but meanwhile you're still riddled with the past. You're actually rejecting, right? That. Does
Right.
that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And I follow a variety of podcasts, and um, there's a statement out there. I don't know if I should say by who, but it's you need to work on becoming the
Yes.
person you're looking for is looking for.
That's right.
And
Yes, and I
so,
say you have to become the one to find the one. Yes.
exactly. And so
Yes.
that's actually on my mirror. Like, become the person you're looking for is looking for, because that means you're whole and that means you're secure. And that if you go into the whole attachment, avoidant,
Right.
different things, that means you're not in those negative places.
Right. And think
You're
about the other
whole.
side of it too. It's because again, you know that person's coming, but in the
Right.
meantime, as you're whole, you're living a whole life.
Correct.
You're living life, right? You're actually experiencing it. You're having fun and you're connecting.
Oh my
So
gosh. Yeah.
so before we close for today, what's one thing that you would like to say either to your future self, because you will get a recording of this, right, that you could see as your time
Okay.
capsule, but also to again to that woman who's stuck. What's one last thing that you'd like to say before we close?
Okay. So, some of my friends try to talk me out of this. They're like, "Oh my gosh, you're going to spend money
Yep.
on yourself." And I should add, I'm unemployed
Yep.
and looking for a job. And I'm like, well, this is the perfect time because um, I'm tired of being stuck, right? I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of
Yep.
dating my ex-husband over and over again.
Yep.
He doesn't
Done. Finished.
appear.
You're done.
Yeah,
Period. Yep.
he doesn't appear as that, but by month 3 or 4, he's starting to show the true colors. So I was like, I've got to break that pattern, and I thought I had, but I wasn't. And so, as you said, we only have so many days on this earth, so many breaths. We don't know what those are. Only
Yep.
God knows, or universe, as you would say, right? But I enjoy doing things with my kids, and I have never really let that held me back. But my kids are growing up. I need to figure out how to do things with friends and find new activities. So I've started ballroom
Mhm.
dancing. I've learned how to play pickleball. I taught my son the other night how to play pickleball,
I
and
love
we're
it. That's You're going to teach me soon too because I want to
sure.
learn.
I love it. Are you a tennis player? I'm a tennis player, so learning how to play pickleball was easy, and it's less wear and tear on your shoulder and elbows and knees, so that's good, especially as we age. But it's
Yeah.
fast. Anybody can pick it up and play it,
Yep.
and it's wonderful. But I used to be afraid to do stuff by myself, and I'm not. And literally, I have flown down here a couple times to see my son. And I have no problem flying to a conference or something by myself. Work is a little different that way. But for my future self, I would say don't go back. Don't
Yes.
repeat those mistakes of the past. When you start seeing that, stop it. Just
Yep.
stop.
And you
And
realize that the new neural pathways you're creating here,
mhm,
that won't be a pattern anymore, because it won't even come up, because the work we do is literally changing the neural patterns from the inside out. So
right,
even if, let's say, a narcissist or someone like your ex-husband tries to come in your vortex or tries to enter, you're going to know immediately. It won't even take 4 months. You're just going to know. You're just going to know, because and that's a very slight chance that for some however reason they slipped in, because now we're at a completely different energetic frequency. So we're bringing in a completely different set of people.
right.
Right. And so we're experiencing a higher set of people. Like, we're experiencing people with our values. We're experiencing people with our belief systems, our loyalty. And so it becomes a whole new journey where we actually get to say, I can't wait to meet this person, because I can't wait to see what this conversation is going to be about, versus, oh my God, I hope I don't track my ex, because that's what happened the last 3 times. Like, oh, I don't know about how long I
Right,
could take this. I don't want to do this anymore. Right.
right, right,
So
right.
yes, but I like what you're saying. And just to recap before we close, don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up. You are worth every ounce of energy that you put into time, into money. And people will often say to me, Donna, like, why don't you do this for free? And the reason I don't do it for free is because it's a disservice. You have to invest in yourself. The monetary commitment and the covenant you're making with God, you're making with the universe, is equaling your worth and your value and the people that you're bringing in. And money is just energy. And when you enter into that covenant, you are saying to God, to universe source, that you believe in it to bring you the abundance. We're not stuck in that lack mentality of I fear. We're actually meeting our fear, but we're overriding it and say, I don't believe in you, fear, because you're a feeling. You're not a fact. The fact is, I am a divine child. The fact is there's no poverty in heaven. The fact is, I have more than enough. Matter of fact, I need to widen my tents. So I'm not going to go by the feeling. I'm going to go by the fact of what I know. And I'm overriding those toxic emotions, which is so critical to our growth.
Yep.
So anyway, with that said, guys, have a kick-ass rest of the day. Stay with me a second, but here, Helen, we'll close up here.
Okay.
But for everybody else, sending you love. And in this chat, I'm going to be putting the breakthrough call link as well as the masterclass link. So go ahead and listen to that. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye. Have a great day.
Bye.